Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Late Winner Show. As you can see from the background, it's all about Chelsea. This podcast, and to discuss about this, I have a very avid Chelsea fan, Ankit from Almighty Blues FC, to talk about the latest Chelsea struggles that they've been happening. Definitely, Ankit, a lucky escape as you called it yesterday for Chelsea. Last minute penalty for Chelsea, and they won and still maintained the pace on for the title race. Um, Before we do proceed with the discussion, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the Late Winner Show. Give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter as well for all loads of content that keeps on coming on our channel. Not only the Premier League, but we cover a lot of the football leagues that are happening around the world. We also run a podcast, audio podcast as well, so you can subscribe us to that as well on your favorite streaming platform. But yeah, let's get started, Ankit. I said it. Yeah,
Yes,
you called it a lucky escape for Chelsea. And from what we had seen just before the Manchester United game, we previewed it on our respective channels, and we felt, yeah, Chelsea is probably the team to beat. They were good in that game, but you saw a lot of the mistakes that were happening. And I actually called it, at least 3 to 4 weeks ago, that this has been coming. And it's now showing in the team. You guys had conceded 5 goals before the West Ham game. It's already shipped. You guys have already shipped in 8 goals since then.
yes,
Three goals
yes.
against West Ham, 3 goals against Zenit, and 2 goals yesterday against Leeds. What do you think has caused that? What would you say is the main reason for that?
Absolutely. So, firstly, yeah, again, thanks for having me. Again, I love the channel and great to talk to you. And of course, you're always
Thank
welcome
you.
on Almighty Blues FC as well, everyone. Yes, Rishabh, like we talk other clubs as well on my channel, and Rishabh came to my channel, and yes, Rishabh is right. Like he called it the moment that Chelsea were kind of going on the dominant spree, and Manchester United came by, and that always happens like season after season for some reason. Our bogey team in the Premier League, so to speak, and after that the the form went. I don't know, it was just Rishabh jinxing it or whatever. Something happened. The fact was, yeah. Then honestly, like we were, like you said rightly, like we were almost like kind of as in
Mhm.
indispensable. Like anyone in the team was indispensable. But that
Yeah.
is the moment when each one of them, as in I'll name you player by player, the reasons, like N'Golo Conte. Like N'Golo Conte, I know that we all know like he's been injury prone in the recent couple of years, but again coming back from injury, then again getting injured. Same thing with Kovacic. He comes back from injury and then becomes what COVID positive, and those are things which are not in our control. And those are just two players right now I'm talking about, because the midfield for me, along with Jorginho, one of them like has to play. I know that's again Chelsea, their decision, whom we had to have this season. Lot of talk about Billy Gilmore possibly should have been stayed. Like this is the person that possibly could have replaced these players because he knows the Chelsea system, but we didn't have that. Loftus Cheek came in, and yes, he did fairly well. But again, when we compare it to like a Kovacic versus a Kante, as a nowhere close in terms of consistency for like those 90 minutes back to back, especially during this busy season, right? Busy period of the season. Now, that's only midfield and left back again. Chilwell, like again, people say Alonso had a great start to the season, but Alonso is such a player. He's never been the kind of player who's been consistent throughout a season. Yes,
Yeah.
he has quality. He can deliver you assists and goals. Possibly one of the best in terms of left backs doing that in the country. Like honestly speaking, he's underrated in that manner. But when it comes to defensive ability, when it comes to the pace of the Premier League, he is still not the ideal left wing back in our system. So that is
Mhm.
something that I think we obviously miss. So these are two essential cogs in a wheel. And I would not really judge too much on the Zenit game because, in a way, Tuchel for once, took his foot off the pedal, which is so unlike Tuchel, and he made, I think a lot of changes. Like almost like three-fourths of the team was changed in that game. Like Malang Sar coming in, Rudiger did not play in that game. So I think I would take those 3 games off. But even like you said, like conceding 5 goals the entire season, and then 5 goals in a week.
Yeah.
Like even if I discount that, that's a bit too much. So yes, I would put it to basically Tuchel's experimentation in terms of the personnel, which was, I know it's a case about him reading the injuries and then not taking those chances, but then possibly a bit too many changes made this kind of imbalanced team that we were in the last couple of weeks, and of course the injuries.
But there's always this case about December, December jinx for Chelsea for the last few seasons, if I must say so. Like, Tuchel was doing so well, December hit, and he just had this blip. Now, I would still say it's a blip. I don't really think Chelsea are going to struggle like this for the entirety of the season. I still think that they will come back. And yesterday's win definitely kept them close. Otherwise, I think they would have been what, 6 points
Yeah,
of City, right? Uh,
I think 5 points. Yeah, but as in
five
almost
points, yeah.
six is the goal difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't really know what is December and Chelsea. That there's always these kind of struggle that happens. Even if you look back, Lampard actually started struggling in December. Mourinho when got sacked in December. so so yeah, it's always been the December month, which has always been like crucial, and the jinx, if you must say that this December month is the jinx for Chelsea. But I want to talk about the upfront partnership, right? Lukaku was signed. He showed certain signs of the Inter Milan Lukaku that we saw for the last couple of seasons in Serie A under Antonio Conte. He's not been up to speed. I think he had a wonderful game in the first few games when he had a brace against Aston Villa, when he dominated the game against Arsenal. Obviously, we can argue with that, right? That Arsenal and Aston Villa were not probably the strongest teams that like they are now. Maybe it's not going to be like as easy as they roll past them. Um, Tuchel still. I still don't see Tuchel involving Lukaku in the game too much, right? It still goes off when the fullbacks are running up front. They pass the ball to someone else rather than actually putting the ball into the box to Lukaku, who's probably their main force. I would I can definitely say that Timo Werner has had a better season than Lukaku as of now. Even though I think Lukaku scored more goals than Werner this season, but he's not getting involved. What do you think? Like, and do you? And I mean, first of all, do you agree with that? And do you think what do you think? Like the Tuchel should actually change so that Lukaku is actually included in the game, because he can bring a lot of things to the team, which not a lot of strikers can bring in other teams. But he's not involving him in the build up so much.
Yeah, then excellent points those, Rishabh, I must say. But like, yeah, I agree on the fact that Lukaku hasn't come back, as strong as what he was at the beginning of the season. And yes, you can argue about them teams, not being so strong or ready yet at that time, and maybe even Lukaku wasn't, to be very honest. But yeah, as in, but on the other hand, I don't kind of buy the point about Timo Werner again. Like I'm like, again, people watching. If you watch my channel, then you'll get to know that I am the first one to criticize any Chelsea player as well.
Hmm.
For me, Timo Werner definitely is not the part. I'll be very honest in that, right? Yes, he brings a lot of things that maybe a Lukaku or anyone else will not bring to you. Those runs that he gets of the channel, and those are things that possibly is one of the best in the Premier League. But I think that's about it. When it comes to basically finishing, like when you actually ask me that, hey, Ankit, whom do you want to kind of rely on? We are playing a cup final. Whom do you want to play? Even in this form, I would actually pick Lukaku over Timo Werner, and the reason is the fact that the players are not playing to Lukaku's strength as much as I know Lukaku has also not been up to speed. It's a combination of the two. I don't think it's about really Tuchel not able to set it. It's more about Lukaku getting used to the players and players getting used to Lukaku. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why basically Timo Werner maybe comes across better in the couple of games that he's had comparatively. Now, Timo Werner has been with the team for a long while. I know technically he is the highest scorer at Chelsea since the time he was signed, most assists as well. But at the end of the day, he's had too many games. So, and again, his gameplay is very different.
Yeah.
Running those channels, those are his
Yeah,
kind of
and
game.
and and
So
you know, I'll just stop you one for 1 minute, but I
sure.
actually read yesterday that he's had and Timo Werner has had 17 assists for Chelsea, which is which is unheard of. Like, like
Unbelievable. Yeah,
with
yeah.
the struggles that he's been having since the last
He's
since
been
he's
very
joined
good in
Chelsea.
Champions
But
League. Yeah, he's been very
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Like I'll tell you what. Again, yeah, Premier League maybe is not as much, but yeah, in the Champions League he kind of works because again, how teams kind of open up. They play a different game in Europe compared to in the Premier League. Those are elements of the game. Of course, in Premier League he can be great for teams which kind of come at us. But if you're Chelsea, if you're Manchester United, a lot of bigger teams, so as to speak, teams will kind of play a low block. That is not where Timo Werner would fit. So the difference is like the other players, especially our wing backs, because our wing backs are key to our system. Now, the way that they've been playing with Werner, because he's been on the pitch most often than not compared to a Lukaku in the last year, obviously they kind of know what his gameplay is, and they play in tandem with Timo Werner, right? If you see most of our wing backs play, they don't go for the crosses like you said. Even those crosses are like the game against Leeds as well. Alonso put in a great cross, but because he knows Mason Mount is someone who's there in the box, it's a low cross. So by default, they put low crosses. Very rarely you will see our wing backs putting in high crosses, which are of heading ability, which Timo Werner does not bring. So that's something that has subconsciously been instilled. It's not like I'm sure, again, we can only speculate here, but Tuchel definitely knows ball. Like we all know that, right? He would not be one who would actually tell them not to do that. It is actually about just them being able to do that, and it's that 1 second at the end of the day, right? In Premier League, we all know, and we are judging what maybe 4 or 5 Premier League games that Lukaku has come, and again he's just started what just 1 or 2 games now.
yeah.
So I think in that time maybe is the wing backs who kind of would play more with him. One of the reasons is also that we're having so much football that there is at least what 2 or 3 matches in a week, and they're not having enough time to train together again. So that's something that maybe if they get it, maybe towards the end of December or beginning of January, that is the time when I see possibly them clicking together. But again, it might be too late for Chelsea to be in the title race because yes, if we have to be in the title race for me, irrespective of Timo Werner or anyone, Lukaku has to get the goals because that is what we bought him for.
But that then, great point. But that brings up the question: Did you really need Lukaku in this season, or do you think that Werner could have done the job, without Lukaku?
Honestly, no, no. As in, even Werner, yes, we could have probably given the responsibility, but that pressure that he actually dealt with last season, we know how he dealt that with, and it wasn't dealt with greatly. So, being Chelsea, and we have that DNA as well, just like Manchester United would have. Like I'm sure you would agree, right? Because
Yeah,
we want to go winning, as in no matter what, right? And we have to definitely get that going. And after winning the Champions League, the next level is that you need better competition for Werner. Yes, you can possibly debate that okay, Tammy Abraham was at competition, but again, he wasn't consistent enough. Some kind of big name had to come in, and for me, again, Havertz, I count him as a proper striker. He's no
yeah.
false nine anymore. Like he's hardly played in that number 10 or winger kind of role for Chelsea. Honestly speaking, like he's a striker. But again, does he have that finishing ability? In terms of just finishing alone, you would agree, I'm sure, that Lukaku has the best finishing ability when it comes to efficiency of putting
Yes.
chances, and that is what Chelsea was missing last season, right? So
Yeah.
for me, he on paper he was one of the ideal signings because he's someone who had done that finishing at least in England compared to even a Haaland, right? As in, that's something. That's why possibly Chelsea still invested so much in him, and we still have time to hopefully get those returns.
Yeah, it's just I just have this concern about Lukaku is that when there are bigger games, when there are performances that are needed from him, and that's one of the reasons that I did not want him at Man United, because for the longest time, I mean, yeah, this is not the place to talk about United, but yeah, I mean, the for the longest time I did not actually like the United signings as well, like what was happening, and that's one of the reasons that I didn't even need Lukaku in the team, because I really knew what had been going on, that he had been scoring in the Premier League, but only against the minnows, only against the the struggling teams, where you
Yeah.
can actually go, and when it comes to playing with the likes of Liverpool, playing against the likes of Chelsea, he wasn't really performing. And you look at it, his international record as well, it's the same thing. He doesn't perform at the biggest stage. He will score on the group stage against the likes of Panama and San Marino and all these stuff. But when it comes to the big games against, when you have to show up, you don't. And that's why I don't really rate him that highly. Serie A versus Premier League, do I really need to compare it? No, I don't think so, because those are really like two different levels of competitions. But yeah, enough about Lukaku. Let's talk a little bit about the upcoming fixtures. So I was looking at the fixtures that our Chelsea have. Everton, we'll see how Everton performs. Everton definitely won their last game against Arsenal. At the time of recording, they're still playing against Crystal Palace. So we'll see how they perform and how they are going to show up against Everton. From the looks of it, every time at least I watched in the past few seasons, Chelsea versus Everton have definitely not disappointed in terms of goals. It has always been an entertaining clash. So I'm looking forward to that. You guys then have Wolves, which is again a great defensive side, losing again, like almost losing every game by a goal against the top sides. Then you have Brentford against in the EFL Cup, which is again already a good game which you already had in the league. Then you have Aston Villa, then you have Chelsea, then you have Brighton, and then you have Liverpool,
Liverpool.
and then Chelsea. Sorry, Liverpool, City, and then Tottenham. So those are
Yeah.
some of the games that have been coming up in the next month. Do you think these? I really feel that this is a tough run for Chelsea, given the form that they have. It's a tough run.
Yeah, it
I
is.
can easily see at least another couple of losses here. But do you think what Tuchel was doing beforehand with, like, and you mentioned, like, Havertz was playing in absence of Werner and Lukaku. Now Chilwell and Kante, I don't think they're back anytime soon in the squad. That false nine formation was actually paying more dividends than playing with the strikers. Do you think he should revert back and not lose up much more ground because that was more effective?
That's a good question. Like again, it's about making the right decision, and again, that's why Tuchel is there, and that's why we are not there. Honestly,
Yeah.
that's a great one. But I would still invest in Lukaku. Like I've been saying, like
Okay.
again, like you're right. Like he's not the one to play in the big games, so as to speak, or rely on him scoring a lot of goals. But the bigger games don't get you a lot of goals either. Like it's very rare that the bigger games really get you a lot of goals, right? So we just need that one breakthrough, and as long as we can get our structure back, and that's the main thing for Tuchel. Like more than the upfront kind of position. I know we're talking about that, but for me, it's about us getting that midfield and defense, in the structure that we were in. Because like Tuchel likes saying, like we want to be a team that no one wants to play against, and that is what he was almost. I think he really built it right. As in, it's just about last couple of weeks, but for me, if we are able to build that, and we are in a position to kind of nick that goal that we need, and that's what I think Lukaku will still be needed, because of the fact that he's someone who could get you that header. He gets you different kind of goals. Put it that way. Because yes, he's playing like like I went on another channel and mentioned, like when Lukaku is not in form, he plays like 𝗵𝗲𝗫𝗍. When again, no disrespect to Heskey, but when he's in really in form, he looks like a Drogba. Like that's the Lukaku that you're talking about. So for me, that investment is needed, because again, he has that ability of both. Heskey could keep the ball really well. He had that strength. He had a lot of plus points. But if we can kind of mix the two in a game, in a big game, like again, a lot of ifs and buts, but he has that ability more compared to a Werner. Because for me, in big games, we'll just get maybe a couple of chances. That is when I would still rely on Lukaku. Havertz, yes, he is a number nine for me right now, but he's not that lethal finisher yet. So I would want him to be like that floating forward, or coming off the bench, and Werner maybe playing off Lukaku. I think in recent games, if you noticed, Chelsea have tried that 3-4-1-2 formation, especially against Zenit. I know Zenit game
Yes.
wasn't a great example to be talking about, but for me, if we had got that defense right in that game, it would have been possibly one of our best games up front. If you really talk about it, Werner really looked his part. Like not just about goals. I know that first goal, even like my grandma could have scored that goal. Like honestly speaking, but if you see the second goal, he really worked it out. Like that's so unlike Werner in recent months, and that's
Mhm.
Werner of Leipzig. What he used to do, he
Yeah.
used to do a lot of
Yeah.
work up front in terms of doing having those clever 1-2s and stuff like that. And with Mount, he's clicking. So Mount with Werner and Lukaku, could be a way to move forward for this game, because we need that goal. And again, that is something different that other teams have not seen us play. So maybe
Mm.
Tuchel, I think, should tweak it a little bit just in upfront positions. But I think main thing, like I said, it's about defense and midfield. And I am expecting for these upcoming features that you mentioned, Kovacic will feature. I think he's really underrated overall, like in football overall. I would say he's someone who could keep the ball, who could progress with the ball. In a way you can say that he's a Jorginho plus Loftus Cheek, if you know what I mean, right? So
Mhm.
he kind of can do everything. Of course, his scoring. Let's not talk about that. But yeah, that's not what he is for. But we really miss him. So he will be back once he goes through this isolation period, and touch wood, he doesn't get injured again. So I think as long as he's back, and of course Jorginho is building fitness again, I think we will be good. Left back, we cannot do anything about it. I think we will go with possibly Alonso, and there are talks about getting in Ian Matson from Coventry. So that will at least give him some competition. Hopefully, we do that in Jan.
Great, Ankit. But yeah, we kind of like we are at the middle of the season, anyways. What are your we kind of probably did a SWOT analysis on Chelsea, which is good. But what do you think? What are your predictions for the second half of the season? Can
Yeah. So I
Chelsea
think
can Chelsea do it, or you're still thinking in terms of what the performance are? You guys are going to struggle.
no, no, definitely. Can they do it? Definitely, yes. I would not even think twice about it. Like you agree as well. You've gone on record saying that. But I think it comes down to the injuries and how
Yeah,
we cope up during this busy period. And like you said, again, we've been struggling in December in recent seasons, and which is so unlike as
yeah,
in the Ancelotti era, if you remember, like that was something that we really took advantage of, and that's something that we need to really look back and see what is it that's missing in our regime, in our daily regime. There is something more to it that we possibly don't know. But it also comes down to other teams' injuries. I know Man City have had a great run. Liverpool have looked flawless almost at times, right? Especially in the Champions League. Now there will be a point, like every team will have a dip sometime.
yep,
That's
yep,
my opinion. Every day is not a Sunday. I know Man City. You could argue that they've done that last season, but I actually don't see that happening this season again. Like it's very difficult. I know it's almost impossible. Like that's Premier League for you. So African Cup of Nations being there, the Club World Cup being in January, February. So these are 2 months which will have other competitions, and what injuries come out of that, I am guessing there might be a couple of injuries in both the teams. So
yeah,
that will be the key for me. But until then, we have to stay intact, and which is something that I'm expecting us to do. Again, those initial fixtures in January are extremely crucial. The one against Liverpool and City, of course, and those are possibly 6 pointers. And if we can get 4 points out of those two games, I think that will be good enough for us, and we will still be there or thereabouts.
yeah. I
So yeah,
think yeah, I think those two games are definitely
of course.
important for you, because I mean for
Yeah.
everyone, whoever is in the title fight, because I mean a draw wouldn't actually harm, but a win is a must at that time. I
No,
think
we
one
need
of the
one
games,
win. I think, yeah, we
at
need
least
one
one
win
win.
for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, we
yeah, at
need,
least one
and
win
I
is
think the idea is about City, right? Because we are challenging City. Let's be honest. They are champions of England, and they are first right now as we speak when we are recording.
yeah.
So beating City will be the biggest key. But again, asking about predictions, I can still see City and us, and I can still see Liverpool, kind of falling off. I know I've been calling it on my channel as from the beginning of the season, but I actually just feel that Liverpool at some point will fall off, just about, not much, but yeah, just about for
I
us
think
to
so too.
basically, compete with
I
City.
think so too. I think there is there is maybe Liverpool fans will hate me for this, but I think there is some reliance. There is kind of over reliance on Salah. I think he's doing
Yeah,
some magic this season, and he's not stopping. But I mean, how long you can expect that? Like I think goals have the a kind of goals that he was scoring at the start of the season. It's almost like he's kind of now dropping off, because people are trying to figure out on how we need to stop him. Even when you look at the game against Wolves, I think that the touch that he just took, that the first touch that he had, and he just blasted past the defender. I can't remember who, but that is exactly what caused the goal, right? So he's doing some magic things, which will eventually drop off. You can't expect him to go on like this for the entirety of the season. I really don't think so. In terms of City, I again I echo your what you exactly said, because I just feel there are certain games where teams drop back and it's hard for City to beat them just because of the lack of a number nine, which might change because winter transfer window is just upon us. It might just change that they might actually get in a striker, and we've been hearing rumors about Christopher Nkunku actually coming in. Dusan Vlahovic actually just said that he would like to leave Fiorentina. So there are strikers available. It's not that I don't think City goes in again for Kane. I don't think so. I think that's done.
Yeah,
I think that's not going to happen. I think a 6 month loan is what City is probably looking for, and then going all in for Erling Haaland next summer. That's how I
interesting.
feel like how that's going to go out for City. But really good. I mean, exciting title race. I'm really looking forward to it. Look what happens at the end of the season. And we'll see if who comes out on top. We'll definitely find out towards, like, March, April is when we'll probably see like who's in the title race and who's not. But great talking to you, Ankit, as always. Please check out Almighty Blues FC channel for really good Chelsea content, really good fan opinions, great panelists that he has on his channel as well. Love his opinions, love his channel. I am already subscribed. Please make sure that you subscribe to Almighty Blues FC as well. But in the meantime, do not forget to subscribe to my channel as well, the Late Winner Show. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Give us hit the like button if you like what you see on the channel, and press the notification bell just so you know whenever we go live or whenever we upload a new video on the channel. But Ankit, I'd like to thank you again for coming on, and any parting words?
Yeah, then it's my pleasure to be on again. Like, great channel. I love the show. Like, Rishabh, the Late Winner Show. As in one of the rare channels, I must say that you cover a lot. As in the kind of spectrum is huge. And for Rishabh, as in a one man army is what I'd call him. As in great kudos to you for doing that. And of course,
Thank you.
anyone watching, do subscribe to the Late Winner Show, and of course, do share the link. That certainly helps. As in the more kind of eyes fall on it, people know that okay, there are these kind of opinions as well. And again, anyone is welcome on my channel as well. Like, yes, I am a Chelsea fan, but for everyone to see, and we try and cover a lot of things as well, learning from the Late Winner Show. But yes, hoping for a great season, and of course, we will be talking about a lot more. Hopefully, we'll be back soon, maybe on my channel or yours, Rishabh. But we will hopefully cover a lot other clubs. But yes,
Yes.
crossing my fingers. I think it's about injuries and hoping we get through this, last period of the year quite well.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. Again, thank you so much, and we'll see each other very, very soon.